Alrighty, welcome back to the weight room. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I'm your host, Daniel, and we have special guests coming in all the way from Germany today. We're going to be discussing training. We're going to be discussing using different implements. We're going to be discussing the fundamentals, and it's going to be a really good conversation, so stay tuned. But before we get started, just want to remind you to subscribe wherever you're listening. And don't forget to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. That's greatly appreciated. Other than that, though, let's dive on into this episode. Let's go.
I'm Dorothee Appel, not like from the apple, but Apple. I'm a trainer from Germany. I'm an athletic trainer from Germany. I specialize in hardstyle kettlebell training, powerlifting, mace training, calisthenics, basically hands, and pre and postnatal training as well. I have been a trainer for a little more than 25 years. Yes, I know I don't look that old, but I am. Since I'm 15, I think I did my first trainer's license in swimming. I was a professional swimmer. I was a professional canoer. Now I'm more in strength training and movement training, you could say.
Nice. So, it sounds like you got into sports really pretty early. Was that something that you kind of always had an interest in, always been a hobby of yours?
I don't know if you can say that if you're a child, if it's a hobby or not. Your parents put you into it and you just do it, I got into a canoe when I was 3. So that wasn't my decision, I guess. But it was fun all the time. So I did it a pretty long time. And I did basically everything that you can do in canoeing. I did wild water canoeing, I did slalom, I did competition canoeing on straight waters, just everything basically you can do with a canoe, I guess. And that wasn't my decision. And I tried a lot of stuff. I did gymnastics, some handball, volleyball. I just run my way through every thing I could find until I found swimming pretty late. But then I got very good in it with 14, I guess, or 13, and I did that for a while. So, and into strength training, I got a bit later. If you're a professional swimmer or an athlete, you do strength training, of course. But as a trainer, I would say when I started studying, I started to get into strength training, like with 19 or 20s in Germany.
Gotcha. And was that something that you kind of jumped in by yourself? Is it something that you kind of had help with to kind of learn the ropes, or how'd you get into it really?
Well, as I said, it was a part of my sports all of the time, of canoeing and of swimming. And then something happened. A chiropractic broke 2 of my vertebrae when manipulating it. And after that, I had to rebuild, I had a year break because he broke the last of my cervical and the first of my chest vertebrae, like almost all the, I don't know what they're called, that's called the plates, and I needed a year to recover from that. And after that, I got pretty much into building up my back. And I think that's when I really got serious with strength training and movement training, because I wanted to be able to support my body best I could to not have issues with that on the long run.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. I can only imagine, being in the moment and that happening. Was there some doubt or some fear going back into like a physical lifestyle after that?
Actually, there was not this moment. He just manipulated it, and the next day I couldn't move anymore. So I didn't really realize when he broke them, but the next day I couldn't get out of bed. So I had to phone my mom, and she had to get me out, and it needed 2 weeks until I got an MRI. And some doctors, because everybody, like when you're so young, it's like, oh, she has muscle soreness or something, but nobody really thought that I had 2 broken vertebrae. And then I got pretty serious for a long time. And no, I wasn't scared. Actually, I was glad when I could go back into training, because my whole life I was pretty active in sports, and then for a year I couldn't do anything. So that was scary. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a lot of people kind of experience that level of inactivity over, quarantine and everything, and just having that much time to not be able to do something. And I kind of went through it myself. It was almost hard to get back into a routine of, working out and kind of just a more healthy lifestyle, if you will, that kind of thing. Did you have any period to where you were like, man, this is kind of tough to get back into it, or were you just like kind of like ready to go once you could?
Ready to go. I had a second incident like not so long ago, and again ready to go as far as I could. It's different, from quarantine, because there you have a choice to work out or not. If you're injured, you don't have a choice. You just can't. Right. It's a big difference.
So it's kind of this kind of like weird balance between staying healthy from the aspect of like staying healthy so you can get healthier. I think it's just a weird kind of balance.
Oh, you can stay and do nothing and hope to not get injured during sports. But then again, is that better? I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah, right. Because if you get older, you will get other problems through not moving. So you gotta take a risk. And there's a difference between taking a risk and doing like sports for day-to-day person or doing sports for professional athletes.
Definitely.
Because professional athletes get paid a lot. So they have to get money like young because the possibility that they get injured probably pretty high.
Yeah. So you mentioned at the beginning, you were talking about kind of all these different implements that you could train people with, and you had kind of like the ability to use. And I think those are really interesting because they're not that they're not very popular, but they're not like the mainstream, the mainstream equipment that people typically use. How did you get into those different, sort of implements?
Yeah, that's a funny question. I think I started with some CrossFit when I was, I don't know, 29 or 8. It came to Germany. I tried some CrossFit. I did a CrossFit license also, but CrossFit didn't really make me a lot better. I mean, I like the parts and all the things CrossFit brought with it, but it was not progressive training for me. So I tried to get into some stuff and specialize in that. And kettlebell was something I could not manage to do. I just couldn't. It ruled me. I couldn't rule it. And I got injured again through a kettlebell. And then I got into a kettlebell license. And then I got really hard in kettlebell training and really good in it. That's how I found the kettlebell. And through the kettlebell, I found everything else, basically, like movement training, animal flow, gymnastics, all that, calisthenics, all that came through kettlebell training. And mace, I'm doing just for really a few years now. And I tried to remember, like, before we started, how I got into mace training, and I can't remember. I think I saw it somewhere and I wanted to try, and then I found my love to the mace, and now I'm pretty serious with mace training as well.
Do you find yourself being the kind of person who wants to dive into something kind of like full in and like go all into it, really master it? Because I think a lot of people, once they fail at something or they get injured doing something, it's like, I'll never do that again.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. It's like something doesn't work. I'm like, why? It has to work. Other people can do it. Why can't I not do it? And I don't like not being able to do stuff. So I'm getting pretty serious about it. Like with the mace, I couldn't do it at the beginning. It was really hard. Yeah. And now I'm getting better at it, I guess.
I think it's cool to have those different things to use, those different implements, and, kettlebell and mace, and even just
handstand, for instance, if you not learn to do handstand as a child, it costs you years, I guess, to learn a handstand. It cost me about 6 years to stand free. And then I got pretty good at it, but it took me a long time doing handstand training.
So kind of talking about handstand training, like what are the benefits of mastering that? Right.
Handstand. Wow. I think if you can do a handstand, you can control your body. You need a lot of tension in your body, a lot of mobility in your body, a lot of control, motor control. You need to know where you are in the room, which is basically a You need to know that with every sports you're doing to be good at it. If you can master a handstand, I think you're pretty good in control of your body.
Yeah, I've seen it become more popular recently on social media. People, doing them, and I never really heard about kind of doing that for training or the benefits of it. So I was really interested in just kind of learning more about that. I might have to try my hand and see what happens.
Yeah, do it.
I'm
It's
sure it'll
worth
take me
it.
quite a while.
I told you before this that I was training the first team of the GFL, of the German Football League. They all had to do handstands.
That's pretty cool. I'm sure. Was that something
Also
they
the
were surprised by?
defense and the offense, also the big guys, everybody had to do, and they did. They could, That's
That's
cool.
that's cool. I bet that was funny to see though. Everybody like that, just
I
doing
was super
handstands.
proud that they
Oh
all did
yeah.
and tried it. It's just like, yeah.
Was that something that they were maybe questioning at first why they had to do that?
Uh, well, it was a guys' team, and I'm like, I can say in centimeters, I'm like 165 centimeters, which is really for like 5'2" or something. I'm small. I'm under 60 kilos. I'm walking in there saying I'm an athletic trainer. Everybody's like laughing, for weeks. It was really hard to get through. And then someday I did. And then, yeah, I was set.
So let's talk. I think that's an interesting position to be in for, especially a woman who is a little bit smaller, to be in a sport training athletes who are typically, very big athletes. How, I mean, you said it took you a while, but how did you kind of overcome that mindset from the athletes of like, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. They know what they're doing.
I was a lot better in most of the stuff they did. So that, first of all, killed their ego. And then I had to learn how to manage a team that size. I have never worked with a team that size before. It was like 40 to 80 people. And someday I walked in and I had 10 rules, and that helped a lot. Like, I put them down and I said, you don't follow these, you do push-ups, you don't do these, you leave. And from that moment on, everything went fine.
That's cool. So
Of course, you need a little respect, and there were a lot of other trainers helping me, but yeah, you have to show that it's worth doing what you're doing. I think at the moment they got better and felt better, that's the moment when they start believing in you too.
did a lot of the athletes have an extensive background in, strength conditioning beforehand, or was it kind of, were there some athletes maybe
No.
who, yeah, I kind of figured it might be the case.
The thing is, we started with a lot of animal flow. And they sucked at it because it's hard. It looks so easy and it's hard to do. It's just body weight training, but it is hard. We did that outside in winter, and it's pretty cold in winter and rainy here. So the conditioning was there if they wanted it or not. The first 3 to 4 weeks, everybody went puking after a while because they're just not used to it. I mean, also there was sprinting and stuff, but it helps a lot. And it's just not, it's not just strength training. It's mobility and stability training first, and then comes strength. You cannot put a weight on somebody who's not mobile or stable enough to handle that weight. So first of all, they have to learn how to move, and then they get strength.
I think that's a big point too, because a lot of people jump in to fitness or training for sports, and they don't have a good base. They want to start lifting heavy right away, and it's so appealing to do that because it's what you see all over the place. There's more glory in, putting a lot of weight on the bar or whatever and lifting heavy weights and things like that. But
I like the people who are like authentic and show the way and show the failures as well. So what people often forget or don't see is the way an athlete takes to get somewhere. Yeah? The years it takes him, the work it takes him, or even today. I mean, we start training, we learn the fundamentals, hopefully, and we learn fundamentals first. Then we get stronger, we do some fancy stuff. And what we do then, we go back doing the fundamentals because that's what makes us better. We cannot skip that. And every athlete is doing these fundamentals, taking pretty much a lot of time for this to get better. That's what people don't see. It's not just do a PR or do a handstand walk or do a dragon pistol. I did today for the first time, and I'm in sports for 30 years. Yeah, I never did dragon pistol before. So that's work. It needs work, it needs patience, and it's not worth it to try stuff, destroy your body because you just can't handle it. And even if you can handle it and you are maybe mobile enough, but your joints and your muscles and your structures are not used to it, then you get injured, even if you can do it. So yeah, there's to be a lot of patience in that too. You get to a good trainer who slows you down a little.
Right. Yeah, I think it's easy to get going really fast, and a lot of ways I think it's good to have that mindset to where you want to do, those things and like, keep progressing and keep pushing yourself, but kind of like you said, have somebody there to slow you down, because I think it's a lot better, especially in an athletic position, to where you have somebody who does want to push, whether rather than the person who, is constantly holding themselves back. I think there's benefit to an athlete who is excited, but having somebody there, a good coach, to say, okay, let's slow down, go back and kind of rethink what we're doing. And the fundamentals, you mentioned that, and I think it's really a good point, because I was recently watching something, listening to something, and it was talking about Michael Jordan and how, every practice he started out with, just chest passes, and it's the same thing. Like, he doesn't do fancy stuff, day in and day out. He does the small things, and that leads to being able to do all these, or doing, I guess, in the past tense, doing all these crazy things that he did. And I think that goes the same thing in the weight room. Just have to maybe just start with the body weight, like you're talking about.
Yes, and you have to regress sometimes. You cannot just progress all of the time. You have to regress. You have to pause enough, yeah, to help your body build that strength. I mean, there's two positions. You can have a mindset where you've got to have a goal first. So, and it's always good to have a goal, because you cannot work through something if you don't have a goal. So the goal is always good. And the higher the goal, the more milestones you need through that goal. And it's important to set these little milestones, because if you're not getting fast enough to that goal, you may be losing motivation, and then you skip, you get out of it. And it's different, I think, maybe with athletes and with the day-to-day person, because athletes, they need a lot. They need to believe in themselves. You got to help them believe in themselves. They need to fail to get better, I think, personally. And they have to have a very strong will to do what other people maybe don't. You know what I mean? Has to be a strong will to win or to do something, or to step back and let somebody, if you're in a team sports, let somebody else do the glorious thing. That's also, it's a lot. There's a difference in athletes and then in day-to-day persons. So, but yeah, you have to have a strong will if you're an athlete.
There's so much more that goes into training athletes and really training anyone in general, talking about athletes or talking about just the average Joe on the street who wants to get better at something. Like, it's more than just creating a workout program. It's so much more. It's so there's so much mental training that goes along with the physical training.
It's all about what you think about yourself, you can do or can't do.
Definitely.
Motivation. I mean, we cannot take our role as trainers too serious. We can just do so much. Motivation comes from the inside. We can just help people to get motivated themselves to do stuff. And if we can do that, then they probably succeed, but therefore you have to have a good knowledge about persons, about, how to get them there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's cool because like each person starts at a different point, and you have to be able to kind of really read a person and connect with a person. And it really is a game of relationships, and I think it starts with being really genuine too.
Trust also.
Yeah.
You have to have a lot of trust between, it doesn't matter if it's an athlete or a day-to-day person. If there's trust, they do what you want them to do, and then you succeed.
So talking about, training athletes and everything, and getting in the position to where you can train, in a professional league like that, how did you get there? How was there, How did you get that opportunity? How did it present itself to you?
Funny question. I opened a gym a couple of years ago. I don't have it anymore yet because I had to sell due to Corona. But I think we applied to be their trainers, the athletic trainers in the GFL. And then we had a tryout training with them. Yeah, and that's it. And
Gotcha. That's pretty cool.
then I got in and then had some handball people and boxers. I don't know. If you have a gym, you meet different people, and you meet them on parties, sports parties, sponsor parties, stuff like that. And then you get a talk, and they already know something about the sports you're doing, especially like kettlebell. A lot of people know about it, but cannot really do it. And if they meet somebody who knows what they're talking about in a certain niche sport, that's a niche, and then it gets interesting, I guess.
So your gym, was that for just, anybody could come in there and train?
Yes and no. It was, it looked like a CrossFit box, but we didn't do CrossFit. We did athletic training with a progressioning program. So we split all the CrossFit parts into several classes and did these classes. So you didn't have to do anything which you didn't probably want to do. Some women came in and didn't want to do weight training at first. I have to say, because later on, maybe, as they see that it's worth it. But if you go to CrossFit, you have to do certain stuff. There's a program and you have to rock down that program, no questions asked. So this is what we didn't want to do. We split up. We had several classes: powerlifting, calisthenics, gymnastics, mobility. We gave them a roadmap how to get through their goals and which classes we thought they should do, and that worked pretty well.
Gotcha. That's cool. I think it's cool to have that experience training both sides, both populations like that.
And we had the professional athletes in there and the day-to-day people, which is cool. If you mix them also, it's nice because everybody profits from that, from the other person. You know what I mean?
Right. No, yeah, I definitely agree. Whenever you kind of have different mindsets, different skill sets coming together, you learn.
It's a little each one teach one thing, like you said. It's also what you don't have in a usual gym is the community. So what I realized in our gym is people first come with a goal, I want to lose weight, I want to get better, I want to build some muscle or whatever. But they stay because of the community, because they have an appointment, they are missed if they're not there. They get a call, where are you, if they don't show up anymore, That's not what you have in a usual gym, and that makes you going on with what you're doing and getting better, you know what I mean? So it's both. You see the athletes doing the work, so you do the work, You also see you missed. You have a community there. You like to go there. The people. It's not anonymous like you're going in a fitness McFit or something. You don't know anybody. Yeah, everybody's doing very stupid stuff. Nobody's leading them. And there's no trainer. Everybody thinks he's the greatest poser and I don't know, have big biceps. And then comes a little girl and does something for warm up. He's doing for workout. So I always wanted to have this T-shirt, And then it's it's different. So we had the gym. We like to have the people more in the classes than working out in open hours gyms.
Gotcha. So when it comes to athletes versus non-athletes, what are some of the biggest struggles for training both of those? Like for you to get through to them or to help them progress?
That's a good question. Progress. Like I said, sometimes regress is progress. You have to, mobility is always a very big issue. Some people are too mobile, some people are not mobile at all. Sometimes it's degenerative. You cannot get really where somebody else maybe is. Yeah, you will probably never get there, but you can do your best to get there. That's always an issue. And you have to build this fundamentals always to not go and do the fancy stuff, but to go back and do the stretching, do the mobility work first, do the stability work. If you're stable, you are better in everything. Yeah. If you're mobile, you can do the full range of motion. If you're stable, you're better in everything. You've got to learn how to be stable in your life. You even stand more tall. You can stand in a train without falling or something like that. Even older people, we had also older people in there. They were box jumping at the end. I mean, but you got to go back and learn the basics first. And that's always a big. And also, if you have people, like we had a lot of people coming from CrossFit into our gym, and you have to slow them down a lot because a clock goes on, everybody's doing very stupid stuff, technique goes over the river, and that's just not worth it. Sometimes it's worth to take a little more time, take a little more weight, get stronger, not do the small weight, do a lot of stupid stuff and, get injured. That's to make people understand what movement is all about, and that a clock, for instance, is not, brain out, do stupid stuff. So that's something I find challenging sometimes.
When it comes to taking people back and really building that foundation, I know it's going to be different for every single person, but like what's a typical kind of time period that you're going to work with somebody on those fundamentals and until you take them to that step 2, if you will?
Oh, that's very different. That depends on the person, if they have been into sports in their life or not. Some people are really quick because they've been there before, and then they get faster there. Some people progress too fast. They need a lot of time to balance their bodies and learn stuff to enhance dance. If you try, you will see.
Would there be like a point in someone's lifting or strength training or whatever kind of training they're doing with you where it's like they're doing really well and then they hit their
to hit a PR, to hit a plateau?
To hit a plateau, yes.
It doesn't really happen if you are changing the training program every now and then. So you avoid plateaus. You avoid plateaus in the moment you see them. So if you're a trainer, you know how to scale the training program in that moment. Every 6 weeks, usually we change the program to something opposite, and then you usually don't have that. For myself, if I train, because sometimes I'm not training with a trainer, when I realize I hit a plateau, I instantly switch the training program into something different.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I think that's kind of if someone doesn't train with a trainer, I think it's kind of a scary point to hit because it's like, oh man, I've hit my potential. And then, it can
also,
be very
I
discouraging.
gotta say again, I mean, I'm not per se against CrossFit. It's just hard for the day-to-day person to do CrossFit, I guess, without getting injured because, different stuff. But often I meet people from CrossFit and they come and say, I can't get better. Yeah, well, man, what are you doing? You're doing something wrong, because if you're doing sports every day and you don't change your program, it doesn't matter if it's CrossFit or something else, but if you don't change your program once in a while, of course you won't get better. You will always hit that plateau. And then, you can do, at the moment I'm doing the 10,000 swing challenge. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's from Dan John. I did it with kettlebells a few times. It sucks. I'm doing it with a mace. It's a lot different. It has more flow and stuff. Still, it's 500 swings every day and every training day, and usually some other exercise. And at the beginning, usually it's very, very hard to go through the first days. At the end, you have adapted to that program. You do it like that, and then you have to change it. So if the 10,000's over, of course, I will get into some other training. And it's good that it's just, over a short period of time. So that's what happens to most people, I guess. They're going to some stuff which is not worth doing, or they do it for a very, very long time and don't get better because they're not changing their programs.
A lot of people will actually not even have a program. They'll just go in each day and do, today I feel like doing this, today I feel like doing that, instead of sticking with something for a set period of time. I think there's definitely benefits if that's something that you like it will keep you maybe feel like doing it. So you're going to do it. But at the same time, I think need some kind of structure within that
You will
regimen, really.
always avoid what makes you better.
Right. Because that's
If
the
you do
hardest
that,
thing.
you always avoid the sucky stuff, and that's what makes you better. And that's why I'm not a fan of this. There's so many programs in that world for free. I mean, you can jump on one or two, or take a trainer, or go into a class. I mean, I would even go, it's better to go into yoga class and do some stuff than to go into the gym and do some, things you just like, because it won't make you better. Probably
Right.
not for long. It will make you better in the first weeks and then nothing.
Right. Yeah, definitely. It's overcoming that mental hurdle of like doing, because a lot of people start off and they're like, okay, I want to go to the gym or do, run or whatever it is. And then I'm only going to do it if I enjoy it. I think that's just such a big mental struggle to get over, but doing something instead of just because you enjoy it, because it's going to be, good for you over the long term, I think is the biggest thing.
I think it's always better to move anyway than to lie on the couch. Yeah. But where you know that it's not fun to do that stuff which you think is not fun, because at the end, if you did it and you succeeded, you will feel even better than the stuff you knew you could do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's kind of like the short-term gratification versus long-term gratification. I think in a very, very short-term gratification is not getting up and doing your workout, but the kind of maybe the medium gratification would be getting up, doing it, and when you're done, you feel good, you feel confident, you feel like you achieved something. And then the long-term gratification side would be like, okay, now I can now I'm a little bit healthier, I've lost some weight, I have better body composition, I can move and do things that I want to do, all those things. But I think if we can
I
get
don't
out of
hurt anymore is a very good indicator. I don't
yeah,
hurt anymore. Back pain
definitely.
is gone. I can do stuff with my kids, whatever. That's a good indicator.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many great aspects to working out people don't think about, other than just like how they look. There's so many mental, physical, emotional things that come along with it.
The outlook comes with workouts.
Yeah.
You look better naked if you go and work out for sure.
there's so many there's so many good things that come with it, and I think it's really cool now, and the last few decades, last decade, whatever it is, where with the more research being done and just showing how different modes of exercise really can affect, not like we're talking about, not just those things, but like your chances of getting certain cancers, having brain issues down the road, like all these things. We're really, I think, just with the research, we're showing how important this stuff is.
Depression, a lot of things. And movement outside helps a lot of things. You got to get outside and do some stuff in nature sometimes. It's not just in the gym, it's also getting fresh air,
Yeah.
feel the ground, have some, biohacker stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's biohacking is big, right, in the US. Yeah. So get some healthy food, get some healthy surrounding, get some fresh air.
And I think I just saw this the other day. It was something about like getting outside and working out in the cold actually had some benefit to, and I mean, I know it was like you're burning more calories and things, but like it was some kind of other benefit too. It was really cool. The study, it was done just recently.
Wim Hof, that's all about in the like taking cold showers, going bathing in ice tubes. Coldness has good influence on your body, even more than heat. Yeah, so a cold sauna is that they're called, like, are they called ice saunas? I don't know in English.
Um, Ice
Cold
baths
sauna,
or ice. There's
that's
different.
saunas, like a sauna where it's just cold. It's like a fridge. You go in, and it's even better for curing inflammation than anything else. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's interesting. The cold exposure stuff is that something that you do or that you recommend people do?
Yeah,
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
do.
It's something I think that,
I got a kid 2 years ago. I didn't do that at the end of my pregnancy and at the beginning when he was there. But usually I do that, and it's very beneficial for the body.
yeah. It's something too that I think is really from the cold shower, cold bath side of things. It's so accessible to so many people. It's something that a lot of people can do. It doesn't take really that much like of an investment or anything like that.
Exactly. It's cheap, and but what comes with it, and you got to learn it maybe, is the right breathing method. Also, something, by the way, that for me in training is essential. You got to learn how to breathe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that's also a big overlooked side of things that I learned about during my internship was actually the breathing side of things. And it's so crazy because I have like an educational background in exercise science, but so many things we did not really learn about when it comes to recovery, when it comes to breathing, when it comes to things like that. Like there's so much out there, and I think it's growing. More and more information's coming out, more research, more products that we can take advantage of.
Breathing is something you do, automatically when you were born until you die. So this is something that you do automatically, but even the real breathing you should do in your day-to-day life, like I don't know how this is called, to breathe deep into your belly. So you don't just breathe, into your chest. And that's something many people are doing when they're stressed out. Many people are doing all day long. And then they wonder why they are so sore in the accidents and stuff like that. So you've got to learn breathing to relax first, but also breathing helps to build tension. Breathing helps to relax if you want it. Breathing helps to get adrenaline in your body so that you can lift more, stuff like that. It helps in different situations. Breathing helps to go through a cold bath for a long time. Breathing is a very essential factor, and I think a good trainer should have a breathing education as well. Go into it.
It is crazy the effect it has on our immune system, and actually, and then just like on our facial structure as well is crazy. To kind of wrap things up though, what would be some advice that you have for someone just like the average Joe, a non-athlete who wants to get in shape and they're having trouble, they're on that first kind of step where they have made the decision, but they want to, get deeper into things?
Start. Gotta find a habit. Gotta start somewhere. Find yourself a good gym. Yeah, get some test training somewhere. See where you feel good. Yeah, with the trainer. Feel good with the people. Get yourself a gym where you are in a group, or find yourself a buddy or a trainer, so that you have an appointment, that you have some commitment where you have to be, so you don't get lost in the process of building a new routine. Yeah, build yourself a routine, and then everything comes from itself.
Yeah, that's good. I think routines are a big part of it, and creating a good routine, taking some time to do that, and fitting things within your schedule. Because I think a lot of people say that time is one of the biggest kind of barriers. And so if you can really break down your schedule and say, okay, here's where I actually have some time. Here's where I may be wasting a little bit of my time, and I can put some better habits in those time slots, if you will.
Is an excuse, in my opinion. I'm a
Absolutely.
single mom of a 2-year-old. I'm having 4 jobs. I can make time. So you can
Definitely.
make time.
Absolutely. Yeah. I say that all the time. There's tons of people out there who are doing so much, big, I think it's the thing is like the Pope, if the Pope and the president can make time to exercise, so can you. And I think that's, a pretty good point. So, but anyway, yeah, it's
Get rid of the TV, I would say also. Get rid of the TV and get out.
definitely a lot of wasted hours in there, I think. But anyway, I really do appreciate you coming on and sharing some time with me today.
Yes, I appreciate it too. Thank you.